Ba 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 ba. Way. All right, hey everybody, it's me. It's Andy, Decade Andy here. Pre-show for me, pre-moon pooping 2. Oh, we shouldn't be starting on Snowcat. That's silly. Yeah, we should be starting on the basic boys. We're going to be talking about the Energon Toyland today. Woo! I've had I'll say this when we get into the proper recording of the show. I've had most of them, so I'm pretty up to date on how most of them are. I vaguely remember how they all work and finagle and fiddle in my little sticky baby boy hand, so it should be okay and interesting enough for me to convoice about these lads today. Hope everybody's doing well in chat world, in pre-recording land. I see Big D. Hey Big D, how's it going? Did your show go well? Saturday, Friday, the Warhammer one, but they really didn't show that much again, which wasn't very surprising. They just went, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be doing the Emperor's Children." It's like, okay, well, it's about fucking time. It's about fucking time, GW. And I saw the battle boxes as well. I was like, wow, those are some lackluster looking battle boxes compared to previous years. But yeah, it's an interesting toy line. It is an interesting toy line. We get to talk about whether it's better than the Armada toy line as well. We get to go into that. Yesterday evening, you say that, but me and Darren kind of lost our respective shit at 2 moments. What were the 2 moments? Dark Mechanicus for him, Rattlings for me. Wasn't there just like one model shown for the Dark Mechanicus? Which is also for the Legio Titanicus, so it's for the small scale game. So it's just like, well, he's one thing for a very specific game. The Rattlings were fun. Yeah, just like, yeah, all right, yeah, fair enough. It looked nice. It's like, okay, yeah. I wouldn't say they're a big oh shit thing, at least for me. Like, give me a monkey with a gun, cyborg monkey with a gun, then I'd be impressed. And even then, I'd just be like, yeah, okay, well, fair enough. Fair play. Well, there they are. It's not really a big announcement, especially when they had the little silhouettes in the background. You know, the preview image, and they clearly had like a noise marine, but they didn't show us. Like, okay, well, Yeah, but the minis they used for the photos on the new source book was 28 millimeter scaled. Okay. So, it's still for Legio Titanicus, right? So it doesn't really matter, as far as I'm concerned. I thought they looked like they might be good for like Necron kit bashing, but that was about it. I was just like, yeah, well, fair enough. 1 unit, there you go. We'll eventually show some more. It was a lackluster reveal. Holy shit. It means it's coming. Okay. What if I told you before the event the Dark Mechanicus were coming? You'd be like, okay, nice. I'll show you one thing. We've known the Emperor's Children's been coming for ages as well, but just saying they're coming isn't that impressive, even if they showed one model off. I think there's more hype if you show the range. If you just show one thing, it's just kind of you shrug your shoulder and you go, all right, well, fair enough. I guess we just have to wait. Gods, you're so hard to be pleased. I just have high standards. I'm not easily, companies need to work. Companies need to put in some actual effort to impress me. And a lot of companies rely a lot on key jangling rather than actual effort, I feel, in a lot of cases. But there you go. Let's go on and talk about some Transformers, because, well, that's what we're here to do. So, is everything working? Everything's working. Hey, Orange, welcome. Hope you're doing well tonight, Orange. Let's hit the play button, or the music button, and let's get pooping. Boo, 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 boo.
Welcome to Moonbase 2.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Moonbase 2 podcast. Oh my god, starting off well today. My name is Andy, Decade Andy. I'm here on my own. We are going to be looking back into the past of 2004. I'm glad it's up on the screen. 2004. Jesus Christ, 20 years ago. That's a whole person many years ago. When, around that time period, Transformers Energon was kicking off. We talked about Armada last time. We're going to talk about Energon this time because I haven't had enough of the Beast Machines toys to give a comprehensive conversation about how that line turned out. And the usual people I get on for the show also have not had a comprehensive fiddle around with that toy line as well. So it was just us looking at pictures going, I wonder if that was a good figure. Luckily here, I know that the Energon toy, I've had most of the Energon figures. There are a few I haven't, but we'll go through them when we get to them. And we're going through the basic format of basics, deluxes, megas, ultras, combiners, and then, oh my god, shit your pants, it's the super duper supreme version or whatever they're called. I don't remember. The standard format as things go. We got people in chat. Big D says, somewhere I have a full set of both Omnicrons and Terracons, not just still MOC, mint on card, but in bags I bought them. Jesus Christ, dude. Holy shit, that's, Jesus. Have you played with them? Have you fiddled with them, or do you just have them in a bag somewhere? That's crazy. All right, well, we're going to be starting off with, we're going to go Omnicrons first, then we're going to go Terracons. So we're starting off with Strong Arm. I don't remember if this was one of the first ones I had, but these guys all came with an Energon chip, which were the Energon chip gimmick was there was a little raised portion of the figure with the Autobahn insignia in them, and you got either a red star or a green star, I suppose. Well, the red one looked more like a shield. Red shield or a green star, depending on Autobahn and Decepticon. You plug it on and they would get like an Energon boost. I imagine it's much like, do you remember the patches from Batman Beyond? The Venom patches in that one episode Bane turns up. Imagine they were kind of like that, so it's like Venom for Transformers. They'd slap one of those on the port and then they'd juice up. I don't remember it being used frequently in the show, but we can pretend it was. I'm not entirely sure. Also, what's his name? Strong Arm came with a gun hook or a gun/hook, and then two halves of a wheel. These could be combined into a battle axe. The fun kind of thing about their weapons they could combine. So let's have a look at the robot mode here. Robot mode was his least interesting mode. I always found the Omnicrons to be not as good as the Terracons, but we'll get to that. The poor boy has no feet. He has window screens, 4 feet, so very, very flat. Fairly decent articulation, knee bend, no thigh swivel, but ball-jointed hips. Ball-jointed elbows, 90-degree elbow bend, and I'm pretty sure he had a waist joint as well and a swivel on the head. So not bad articulation, especially for his size. Transformation was pretty basic, but he turned from a fairly interesting-looking construction robot to an okay kind of futuristic-y sort of dune buggy kind of vehicle. Was the head hidden? No. You just kind of turned around and pointed it at the floor, which, wasn't super amazing to look at. But you could store all of your Energon stuff on, so the two halves of the axes you could push together and it would make a spare wheel. Which you put onto the top of his head, where his head would go because there was a port in there. I'm not sure how good a Energon wheel would be. But I'm also not quite sure why a dune buggy would have a hook/gun on it, but it looked good. It was an interesting look. And you could also put the two halves of the wheel, you could split them in half, and you can put the bits on the shoulders, because there were ports on the shoulders as well. It's a pretty interesting little gimmick. I wish the weapons, as we'll go through, I wish the weapons interacted more with each other. They do to a point, but I wish there was a bit more designed play around them. It's almost a bit like the Micromaster bases, the bone dinosaurs that we got much later on in like the Siege and the Kingdom kind of era. It kind of feels a bit like early stages of that kind of play. Not crazy or anything like that. In terms of repaints, the Super Link version, I'm pretty sure was exactly the same. And there was an Energon version. This one's for some... Oh, Energon Strong Arm. So it's Energon Strong Arm because he's the Energon series named Energon because he's powered up Strong Arm. This one's done in baby blue, orange, red, and metallic gray. Not as nice of a look, I don't think. I think the more cohesive, like, construction vehicle colors of yellowy honey orange, a very dark grayish blue, and the red popped a lot more. Obviously, they even had like the tannish gray unpainted plastic kind of look, but it was fine. It kind of worked well off the rest of the toy. The Energon version, I don't think looked as nice. I like the more bright orange it had for what was the crotch piece, the piping, and some of the other parts that were originally like the gray that I mentioned. I think that was nice, but generally just blue version was, I don't think, quite as nice. Oddly enough, they didn't change the weapon color. I thought they might have changed the weapon color just to show that, you know, he's more powered up Energon version. So he's got I don't know, like super Energon. So we're going to change the red to like a yellow or maybe like a blue, like a lightning blue kind of color, not a dark blue, like a brightish blue for like, this is pure Energon. You know, like when you turn a Bunsen burner from like flame mode to like gas power flame, and it goes from orange to blue. I thought you could do something like that. But no, they're stuck with the red, and I guess color-wise it does probably work better than him having even more blue with him. I don't know. Big D says, I think adequate is a good way to describe long arm. Yeah, he's very much like in terms of the Omnicrons, he's very much like 5 out of 10. He's not good, he's not bad. He's just there. He's gonna take up space on your shelf, but you're not gonna hate him for it. You're just gonna look at the guy and go, yeah, it's fine. Big D says, I mean, the wheel helped hide his head. It did a little bit, not very well. And I do think it would have been better if you could have just flipped the head away somewhere. I have the movie repaint around here somewhere. Did he? I mean, he must have had a repaint, otherwise he wouldn't have mentioned it. Oh yeah, here we go. Yeah, there's also the Bokhan's Timelines version, which actually is quite. It does the lightning blue that I was talking about. Hey, and it's done him in what I would describe as Outback colors. Was he actually Outback? No, he was Fallback. I'm guessing Outback was licensed, so he's in let's say sand brown and then chocolate brown colors, and then it's got the kind of unpainted gray plastic and then the lightning blue. This is a better color. I don't think this would work good for a quote unquote upgraded version of Strong Arm, like in the context of the Energon storyline, because you don't really go from yellow to brown and say it's a visual. It doesn't look visually like an upgrade. I don't think. It doesn't make him look more intimidating. It just looks like, oh, this is the one that, I don't know, goes around the jungles or the deserts or something. It's all right. Orange says, I'd love these as repaints for a good RID 15 strong arm mold. That could be interesting. Big D says, I dig that orange idea, Orange. These fuckers are the first figures I've ever troop built. Oh no, Orange. A little known fact about me. So these were the start of your problems, is what you're saying. Okay, well that's fair. I'm sorry. There's also the movie Strong Arm, which Big D mentioned. This is in jungle colors. So the translucent weapons have been done in translucent black, which is not a pretty color, or translucent. No, black, yellow, gray kind of color, so it looks kind of ugly. And then his color scheme is just dark green and then army green, so he looks very boring. There's also the Autobahn insignia, which isn't painted red because it's the movie, so yeah. Not a big fan of this one. It looks like a background character. It doesn't look like a character. There's also movie Crosswise. The movie Strong Arm was 2007. Movie Crosswise 2008. This is a similar idea to the Timelines version. This one has a bit more interesting stuff going on, I'd say. It is. This looks more like a desert Jeep, right? It's even got kind of an attempt of like desert camo. There's like it looks like somebody spilt mustard on it and then dribbled chocolate sauce on him, let's say. Not like huge dollops. It's like you were eating a mustard sandwich over him and just like a blob went here and a blob went there, and then with the chocolate sauce it looks like you were just like you weren't squirting it downwards, or if you was you were squirting it downwards, but you're also twisting your wrist at the same time, so it was flinging the chocolate everywhere. So it's some of it went on the ice cream, but some of it went on your toy as well. That's the kind of little splatters of the brown here and there on this figure. For some reason, again, for the translucent weapon, they've gone with the gray. This one's is just gray or black. Visually, it's not very interesting. The red, the lightning blue, clearly better than these visually. But in terms of like a color scheme for this guy, this one's actually pretty good. I reckon this one people would sleep on. And I think this one... Yeah, I think this one and the Botcon Timeline's Fallback are my two favorite. I really like the desert camo colors on him. Don't get me wrong, strong arm standard color is fine. I just think the other two tickle my peen a little bit more, if you know what I mean. Big D says, yeah, they've tried a chocolate chip camo. Emphasis on tried. Yeah, you know, for a movie repaint, I think it's fine. I like it well enough. Strong arm, like straight down the middle, it's okay. It's okay. We got Skyblast next, who I do think is better. I think he had a much more fun transformation. Problem with him is he has a lot more crap hanging off of his body. He turns into a, let's just call it future jet. Quite successfully turns into a future jet, I will say. I like how the arms actually store inside of the legs, because the legs are in a hinge joint at the knee and they kind of swing upwards. So if you look at your leg, you put a hinge on the outside of your knee and you swing that leg outwards and upwards. That's the kind of direction it goes, and then the little arm just kind of fits in the slot there. It's quite. I remember as a kid, like just putting the arm inside the leg and being like, "Ooh, that's a satisfying motion." I enjoy doing it. You have the twisting chest, which turns the head round. It's a bit of an automorph gimmick, so it does limit the head, but it keeps the head in place, which is that's fine. And he's got a big old hinge on the back of his head because the nose cone doesn't really go anywhere. It just kind of flops backwards, which isn't great. In terms of articulation, no knee joints. He's got the weird outwards hinge joint as mentioned. No, he does. He does have a knee swivel. So below the knee, the legs can turn left and right. Just, fine, whatever. Elbow bend, which is over 90 degrees. I'm pretty sure it's got a bicep swivel, but I'm not entirely sure. He's got universal joints for the shoulders and backwards, forwards, all that jazz. Pretty decent. He does have big wings just kind of sticking off his forearms, again, taking up a little bit of shelf space. Not bad head mold either. Interesting that it's asymmetrical. It's almost a Skyfire, Jetfire styled head. Well, actually Skyfire, to be honest. But he's got like his left side of his head has a like, I don't know how to describe it, like an ear almost, and then the right side has a antenna. So he's always in communication with tut lads fixing shit. In terms of weapons, his is a bit more complex than Strong Arms. He has what I'll call two missile halves, which are generous, which stick on the side of the plane mode for its quote-unquote assault mode. They add a nice angular kind of menacing look to the fairly happy, friendly jet shuttle kind of look to the mode. It also comes with a quote-unquote gun, which I was considered more of a walking stick or stick that you'd find in a forest as a child and hit the ground with or play sword fighting with. I never convinced myself it was a gun. I think that was very generous. There's also gun base. If you combine gun base and quote-unquote gun or stick together, then they would actually make something that looks like a gun, very long-barreled, and then the gun base has two kind of barrels at the end of it as well, which is okay. A lot of these things also have minicon ports on as well, so you could combine it with minicon stuff. And there's also the Energon chip as well. So for some reason, they don't have it here in the images on TFU, but you could get the two halves of the missile, plop them together, stick them on top of the gun base, and stick the gun base on top of the gun stick, and it would make basically a gigantic spear, which he could hold fairly successfully. It was quite a decent weapon. I thought, again, it was a lot better than Strong Arm's weapon. It was more fun figure, generally. It had maybe a little less articulation, but I think what they were going for with the Energon weapon worked better. It was more interesting, and the transformation generally on this guy was, again, for me, more interesting. I enjoyed it a lot more. Big D says, in his best Skyfire cosplay, and Orange says, yes, Skyblast, nice space jet fighter, in my opinion. It is really nice. I do like it. I think that this Sadly, we'll get to it in many hours' time. But I think this does Space Jet far, 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 far better than Wing Saber. Granted, Wing Saber's doing a lot of other stuff, but I think this is a better jet mode. It's more fun as well. Big D says, in fair play, the grabber gimmick underneath. Oh yeah, he has like these stupid little claws underneath his vehicle. Doesn't actually mention it in the features. I don't know why. Couldn't really work on anything, but he did have like a cow catcher on his underside for some reason. Big D also says surprisingly little kibble in the jet mode, especially at the size class. Yeah, it's by today's standard, it's very, very tidy. It's maybe a little it's not aerodynamic-y. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. And if you looked at the underside of the jet mode, you would just see his head. It wasn't hidden or anything like that. But again, for the size class, pretty solid. In terms of repaints, let's go for... Oh, there's actually not that many. There's the movie Sky Blast, which is... It's kind of boring again. This is from the movie line. They decided to put the jet into, let's say, concrete gray and... Oh, what is that other gray? Would you call it like porridge gray? Something like that, and gave it kind of a camo look and then added some black to it as well. The translucent weapons are done in translucent black. So again, it's kind of on the boring side. Doesn't pop nearly as nicely. Very much a background kind of character. And the other version, which you could argue is, they've gone for an Acid Storm kind of color. He has the kind of dark green base, and then he's got the checkered pattern kind of military camo on his jet mode. It's okay. And instead of it is translucent black weapons, but it's a hard translucent black. So it's very, very black on it, but you can just about see through it, or barely see through it. Like the opacity is like, I don't know, like 80%, something like that. It's pretty high. You can just about see through, but not super well. He's got red eyes, so he does look a little bit like a demon, which is a tiny bit concerning. I would go with Sky Blast is still the best version of him. I'm guessing he didn't get an upgraded version. There wasn't like a super Air Blast or Sky Blast, where they upped his colors. It seems like that's it, at least according to TFU. If I missed any, let me know, Chad. Or people, in the future can send me messages and whatnot. Orange says, I like it. It was charming. Can't remember. Big D says, I can't remember if I had the Air Raid repaint. It's kind of a tundra color. Oh, the previous one, the kind of urban camo-y kind of one. I think Tundra would be a bit whiter, white and gray and black. I'm not sure for this though. I don't know. But yeah, if we're gonna give like random ratings out of nowhere, Strong Arm we said was 5. It's like, yeah, it's fine. I'd say this is a 6. It's not a huge leap forward, but it is a boost. It's okay. Yeah, it's pretty good. Next up we have Signal Flare. Signal Flare is definitely a 4 out of 10. Let's start there. Signal Flare's a 4 out of 10. So, Signal Flare is his vehicle mode is like a tank cannon treaded wheeled vehicle. It looks like something you'd see in a Godzilla movie. That have the lightning cannons on its back. It's something kind of like to that. In terms of a robot mode, and the transformation was not desperately fun. He has very little leg articulation. He has his gun arm, because he's lost one of the arms and replaced it with a giant cannon. That's on a universal joint, and as you kind of move it around, the gray end barrel will spin around a little bit. Not at like crazy speeds, but a little bit of a spin. The other arm is on a ball joint, has an elbow bend. I can't remember if the head rotates. It might, and I can't remember if it's got waist articulation. I don't think it does, but the legs are pretty static. It's got universal ball joints. It's got ball joints in the hips, and it's fine. Yes. In terms of weaponry, he has a dish, which spins, and he also has 2 halves of the shield. So the 2 halves of the shield plug together, and they form a very slender, thin shield, which isn't desperately good. And you have the radar dish, which you can plug on the end of the gun. For some reason, again, they don't show what the weapon can combine into. So if you get the two ends of the shield and the dish, you can plug the dish into those ends and basically turn it into a chainsaw. And the chainsaw's pretty cool. I like that idea. I don't think it looks desperately threatening as a chainsaw, as it's more of a... there's no edge to it because it's meant to be like a radar dish, right? So it doesn't have a serrated edge to it. So it's not going to be your most effective kind of saw. It's more like, maybe if someone said it was a sander, like a disc sander, I'd be like, yeah, okay. I don't think that's super effective in combat unless they're on the ground and you get a disc sand and sand the face off, which would be quite horrific, I grant you. But in terms of like combat efficiency, not the best weapon you want to run around with, I'd say. You can plug these into the vehicle mode. The dish obviously works still well on the gun arm. The shield just kind of plugs into the side of the gun. It doesn't really look like it does anything, to be honest. It's just, it's there, Orange says, Godzilla, you say, glances at one of the Terracons. That's true. We'll get to that. And Big D says, I dig his vehicle mode, and yes, the transformation was balls. Yeah, I don't remember. The only part I specifically remember is the legs kind of collapse in on themselves. I can't really describe how the the normal arm just sticks out the back. It doesn't really do anything. It just sticks out the back of it, which is kind of lame. This one's 4 or like 3 out of 10, maybe 3. Yeah, I don't even like the robot mode. Yeah, let's go 3. 4's bad. 3's like, don't know. 2's like someone's punched you in the dick. We're not in dick punching territories just yet. Signal Flare in terms of reissue. Well, not reissues. Reissues. Oh boy. In terms of redos, we have the Energon offshoot, which is actually kind of an interesting color scheme. For an upgrade, they've gone with army green. Small bits of it are kind of a bronzy orange. And then his gun is blue, and then he's got bits of kind of a grayish, greeny, bluish kind of color on his face and on his gun. He's kind of like I don't know why. I look at him and think mushy peas. And I don't know if that's because of the amount of the kind of like army green they've used on him, but there's mushy pea vibes I'm getting from him. It's not a handsome look. It is a different look. I don't think it's a shelf-popping look that, again, says, I'm an upgraded version of my previous form, which was just mainly blue. This just is a bit of a mess, unfortunately. Simon Tang says, look like a Maser cannon from Godzilla. Yes, I mentioned that, Simon. I didn't mention it was the Maser cannon, but I did say it was the cannon from Godzilla because I couldn't remember what it was called, the Maser cannon. The other repaint we have for him is the movie one, which is maybe his best color scheme, most appropriate. Yeah, this works. This actually works reasonably well as a... I don't think it works as an Autobot, but it looks almost like a Decepticon trooper that you'd have in Fall of Cybertron, War for Cybertron, or even probably more aptly, it would probably work well for like if you were trying to make the drones from the Armada PlayStation 2 game. It kind of looks like that. Color scheme wise, it's brown, and then the main body is like army green, but more green, less pea green. More army green, and then he's got like splodges of brown on him, so more of an army color. I think it works probably best here. I like how they framed the head as well. They've colored the round section or around the face in black, and then the face is silver with the eye line being gray. Red. Looking at the lineup, yeah, it's the best. If you really want the signal flare and you don't care how kind of naffy the transformation is, it's not great. I think the movie one's the best looker, personally, but Next up, we have RC. I've never had RC. It's the one I avoided, because who likes women? Not me! I just never got her. I can't remember why I'd never picked her up. Why didn't I pick her up? I think it was because at the time I was shifting over from Energon to just getting the Superlink stuff, and I think at that point she just vanished. I think I had a fiddle with the toy around at Dave's house once, and didn't feel a lot from finagling her. This was this the first RC figure we'd have? Was this the first RC figure we had, guys? Since G1 didn't have one. Was it? Is this the very first RC figure? Let me know. I mean, chat, confirm for me. Big D says, I remember she was the one I wanted to get from Energon as the first mainline release of the RC figure. Oh, yeah, there we go, yeah. Yeah, fuck women, we're all misogynists around here. Yeah. Lads. Simon says, the ball hip joints were very loose. I think I remember Dave's were pretty loose on it as well, but I can't remember. She also has these stupid hands which just kind of unfold from the sides of the bike mode, because she turns into a bike, because of course she does. I guess this was the precedent thing, the trend center, if you would. RC now needs to be a bike forever and ever, mostly. Bike mode's actually not too bad. It's a pretty sleek, tight bike mode. The only thing that really kind of serves it up is like, oh, look, it's a robot. Look how fucking robot this is if you wanted to argue, you can see the legs on the underside. You can see the heels and stuff. I'd be like, yeah, personally, I let that go. The thing for me is like the hands at the back here are quite obvious, because the hands just kind of fold into, I guess, the forearms, effectively. Yeah, the hands kind of fold into the forearms to hide away, which I don't think looks desperately good. It also looks like she's got very a low neck joint. At least in this shot here, I don't know whether it's just not posed very well, but the shoulders could be a little bit lower head. She looks a little bit Hunchback of Notre Dame. Notre Dame? Dame? Whichever one it is. So yeah, also, at least in this one, I don't know if this is a consistent thing with the RC figures, but the Autobahn insignia, there's clearly a split in the plastic where the two halves of the chest go together, and the Autobahn insignia is completely off-centered. So one bit's high, looking at the image here, her right side, the left side of the image, her right side is lower down than her left side, our right side of the photo, so it's quite distracting. I think the head mold is quite nice though for RC. The mouth isn't very well defined; it's just kind of lost in the silver, unfortunately. I'm not saying it needs the red lipstick on, but it needed like a wash just to show like there's a mouth there. Do you see the mouth? Do you see it? I think it's the problem with using this kind of... This is Stormhost Silver, Games Workshop fans. Stormhost Silver. And if there's very light molded detail, that molded detail is clearly lost. You can see the molded detail on the cheeks, and I think that's just because the light's catching them quite nicely, and you can barely make out there are like small amounts of lines going like under her eyes, because she's very tired, don't blame her, and then going down to her mouth as well. In terms of the weapons, you'll need to help me here, guys. There's one launcher. So one actually has an active missile. There are two tailpipes and another goon. So there's a launcher and a goon. For some reason, they actually showed what these combined into. And it turns into a giant crossbow. Quite a large, maybe unwieldy. I don't know if... Did this unbalance the figure? It looks like it could. But I think in terms of, like, again, playability-wise, the Energon weapon feature, it's pretty good. Like, they've thought about it, and it's more than the axe. I don't think it's as successful as the spear. It's maybe... No, it's better than the chainsaw. It looks better than the chainsaw, even though the chainsaw you can just kind of spin around and maybe have a bit more fun with, I'd say. But yeah. This one's okay. It's fine. It was done a Superlink version. I think this must have been limited as aerial, the Paradron Medic type, because you've got RC, so Paradron Medic. Woo. The face looks, I don't know why, a little bit on the derpy side. They changed the weapons to kind of the translucent. Oh no, it's mouthwash. It's mouthwash green. You have mouthwash. You know what that color is. It's that. It's mouthwash bluey green. There you go. That's the color of that. And the actual figure, it looks fine. It is very much just, what if we made it blue? Well, like light baby blue. Yeah, it's fine. Is it, like, for the people that had this figure, would you say it is fair to say this is probably a 5? Is this a 5 or a 4 out of 10? What do you say, guys? People that have owned this figure and kind of know a bit more of how well it transforms and all that compared to myself. What does chat feel? Is this a 5 out of 10, like average, or is it below average, basically? Orange says, I hope you know I'm joking. I wouldn't mind if you're not. It's fine. It doesn't matter. Everyone's allowed their opinion, even if it's a bit mean. Big D says, I think BotCon had their Transmittal 2 Black Arachnia repaint before this. Oh, I'd say that doesn't count. Big D, in the fact that it's not an official product. It was BotCon, so they were just repainting whatever the fuck they wanted. But I see where you're coming from. Orange says, toothpaste teal. Yeah, that works too. 5 sounds fair. Okay. Give it an extra point for being the first RC. I don't really want to do that particularly. We'll say 5 out of 10. We'll say 5 out of 10. Now we're getting on to the ones that I think are far better. The Terracons. I think the Terracons are my favorite thing about the Energon toy line. I think all of them are bangers. All of them are bangers. Some of them aren't as bangable as other ones, but I think every single one of these is fucking fantastic. I love them. We're going to start off with maybe my favorite. Is it my favorite? Ooh, fuck. I don't know. Ooh, fuck. Is it my favorite? It's near the top. It's near the top of my favorite, and it's Dive Bomb. Now, in terms of the weapons, his weapon kind of combo, it's not as good as the Autobot ones we've looked at. It's 2 blades with 2 pegs on the bottom of them, which you stick on the side of the robot mode for quote-unquote blades. It's like Strider kind of styled. It's okay. It's not great. And again, they don't show what you can do with the weapons, but you can combine them into like a star boomerang. So it's not, what's more effective, a gun or a boomerang that explodes on contact? So you use it and it's gone. The weapon's not great. The Energon Starship, yeah, it's fine. I don't really care too much about that. So he obviously Dive Bomb turns in from a ninja robot. I think they actually expressly say it is a ninja robot, as there is like the mesh detail on the forearms, biceps, and on bits of just under the head. And he also turns into a falcon as well. One issue I have with it is his forearms are just the bird's head, half of the bird head. So that's a little bit on the wonky side. I really like how it transforms. In the Eagle mode, the feet are just kind of hanging out on the front of the mode. I don't mind that too much. I kind of let that go. The way that the legs transform is they're the wings, and there's a turbine, and you just grab the end of the wing and you kind of bring it inwards, hiding away the Energon feathers into the legs and basically just forming the legs. It's a really easy, satisfying, quick transformation that I really enjoy, and I think he looks great as a bird as well. You can store the blades on the bird mode. It doesn't look great. You can, because the legs are on ball joints and the legs are the wings can flap. They can go up and down there, and because of the knee joint, they can also have a bit more posability as well. If I was to say more things I'd like from it, it'd be nice if the head could do more in bird mode. But because of the forearms, so it's obviously limited by what it can do. It's even got little bird feet. Bird feet just kind of hang out on his back, I think. I don't think the bird feet do a huge amount. Yeah, they just kind of hang out. No, they hang off the back of his arms. I apologize, Joe. They just hang off the back of his arms. It's a bit lame. But generally, Dive Bomb's really fun, really fast transformation, really good. And he had a few repaints. Oh, damn. Okay, so there's the Superlink Shadowhawk Cosmo type version. So this was the quote-unquote upgraded version, where they turned him from a white primarily one to a too hard blue. There's meant to be a couple of shades of blue here, but they all kind of just mush together. Yeah, this is not a great repaint, just because the feet are a more grayish kind of blue, while the body and the rest of the parts that were white is more of a, again, greenish. There's more green into this blue. It's still a hard blue, but it's a little bit more green in it. and I don't think it works too well together. The yellow weapons are quite nice on it, but again, they should have the beaks should not have been the same blue, grayish blue. That should have been like normal beak colored, I think. Just kind of mushes away and washes away. Botcon's Timeline did a version, which looks really fucking sick. They replaced the translucent green with translucent purple. He's more caramel colored this time round. Caramel and black. I think it looks really good. I think this is a great repaint. It's fantastic, in fact. The feet on this one are black, and so is the beak. So again, these kind of work well off each other, kind of color-wise. Simon says, aren't the translucent parts... are the translucent parts sturdy? There aren't many translucent parts on Dive Bomb. The only thing that's translucent are the bits, the folding mechanic for the wings, which you kind of fold away. So it's not like they're relying on anything. Granted, it has been a while since I've finagled with my Dive Bomb, so, don't hold me to that. But he seemed fine last time I had him. There's another Botcon one. I guess they were in the same pack. Oh, it's Laserbeak and Buzzsaw. So this one's orange with translucent purple. Yeah, this looks... He looks a bit... I wouldn't say this looks like Laserbeak. The color scheme for this one is he's Halloween colored. So he's a very, 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 very bright orange color. But I think this is great as well. Very vibrant, very bright and poppy. Both of the Botcon versions are really good. I think the Laserbeak might be my favorite version. I don't have it though, but it's very pretty. But I still love Dive Bomb. I still think he's really good. I would probably say, considering he's a basic, I'd give him like a 7 out of 10. I'm so happy to say 7 out of 10. He's really good. He's a good figure. 7 out of 10 for the little bird. We have the Insecticon now. Hang on. Oops. Snowcat shouldn't be there. I've taken off Cruel Lock for some reason because I'm done. Hang on. Let me pull Cruel Lock back up. Cruel Lock. There we go. Who could forget Cruel Lock? We'll do the Insecticon now, who I think is my favorite. I like the Insecticon, and I think it's because of how big and chunky he is. His transformation, again, is pretty simple. I love the fact that his insect legs... his two, like the middle one and the back one, fold together to become his feet in robot mode. I think that's really cool. And the front two legs kind of become these shoulder-mounted guns on his back. I wish the screws by the side of his head weren't there. I also like turning around the entire chest of the bug, the shoulders and entire chest around to face this way. It's, for some reason, for me, really satisfying to transform and just fiddle with this guy. I don't think he really needs much else. He's a stag beetle, I think he is. And in terms of weapons, his are better than Bombshell's. He has a gun, which has a pin in it, which you can turn around and rotate slowly. At least mine goes slowly. It's quite stiff, or at least it was. So it's almost like a chain gun. That's cool. And then he has a sword, which is just... It's a bit whiffy to call it a sword. It's more like the top of a spear. Like it's the pointy bit of the spear that he's just holding via a small peg. And then if you want, you can combine the gun and the spear tail together. Why do they call it a tail? Together, and it basically becomes a giant drill. That's kind of fun. You can stick the giant drill on the front of the Bugmo, so you can be a big old drill bug. I like that. It's fun. It's really good. This one's, yeah, probably my favorite. And he only got one other repaint. The, what's this one? The Chrome Horn version. Where they've just kind of, made him boring as he's just green. The other one had orange. He was a dark green, and he had yellow popping. Why did I say orange? And he had yellow on his legs and around his face. This one's just gone with green on green. For some reason, they won't let us look at the close-up mode. But yeah, it's just a little bit too much green. It was like what they did with the Dive Bomb. It was just too much blue. This one's just too much green, unfortunately. However, the Energon weapon has been done in translucent orange, which I do like. I think that's better. But apart from that, I think this is, again, visually a bit of a downgrade, I think. XL Hedge says, Energon Terracons are just Soundwave cassettes, beasts with robot modes. Ravage... Overkill. Apart from this one, I would agree with you. Apart from the Insecticon, I think you're not entirely wrong there, Excel Hedge. Orange says, I love this guy. I only had 5 of him. My issue was the bug legs that end up on his back shoulders could go missing really easily. Really? I don't remember having an issue with mine falling off or anything like that. Very surprised he was never repainted as Bombshell. Yeah, same to be honest, but yeah. Cruel Lock. Oh, Bombshell, 8. 8 out of 10. I'll give Bombshell 8 out of 10. I don't think Cruel Lock's as good. And that's due to his transformation. I think in terms of his visuals, I think he's really solid. As he is basically a Godzilla. In terms of his scale in the show, he was, I guess, meant to be a raptor, but it very much, to me, looks like a Godzilla kind of robot. In terms of his transformation, they decided to go with Automorph, which... he didn't do a lot. Basically, you pushed his groin together, and the head would flip back, and the arms would, the shoulders would be pushed outwards to the side a bit more, and that was about it. And then you just kind of straightened the legs out, and you turned their head around, because obviously there was no covered for the face. And when you look at the T-Rex mode dead on, it has a hole in the throat part where you just see the head. That's why you have to turn the head around so you don't see it. So you see the back of his head all the time. It's not a very satisfying transformation. In terms of articulation and how he feels in hand, though, it's good. And he comes with a really cool weapon. He comes with a small gun and a big tail sword. And you plug the tail sword together to make a slightly bigger tail sword or gun. It wasn't great. I did like the fact that you could add the tail sword on the back of the tail. It actually was needed. I don't know why they call it an attack mode and a beast mode, because I'd say you desperately needed it. I like how this guy looks. I just hate how he transforms. So he'd be more of a 6 out of 10 for me. In terms of repaints, he actually got more than most. I think I've sold the Magma version. Which I think was only Superlink. This is probably the best. Yeah, this is the best of the repaints for the Terracons. Because instead of a greenish kind of dinosaur, they decided just to change that to red, black, and brown. And it looks really good. It looks great. Doomlock, Cruel Lock, however you like to call them. In terms of other versions, there was the 2004 version. I guess there was just a... Oh no, this was the American version that you could get. I think this was meant to be like a commander class, was it? Oh no, this was in it says Energon Universe, so maybe this was the one from Universe? Anyway, this one is kind of a burgundy kind of color, gray look, and then they've replaced the translucent pieces with orange translucent pieces, which again looks really cool, especially for the sword. Again, this one's pretty decent. I don't think it's as good as the Magma version. And then apparently there's a Walmart Age of Extinction Grimlock in 2014, so an old one. It's kind of attempting to do the Age of Extinction Grimlock scheme. At least the toy version. You remember when that toy came out and he was mostly kind of toffee brown. They've kind of done that here. I think this looks a bit nicer because there's more black on him. This one's okay. I think the Magma version is the best version. Probably the most expensive version as well. Probably should have kept it to sell it now. When this one's okay. I still like the Doomlock version as well. The Doomlock version was the burgundy version. I think I might like it a little bit more than the standard Cruel Lock. But yeah, this is for me 6 out of 10. Fun weapon. Lame transformation, but at least both modes look good and are fairly posable and fun to play with. And then the last of them is Ravage, and I'm trying to think, how much do I like Ravage? How much do I like Ravage? He's my third favorite. Or my second least favorite, if we want to go that way. So I will say Ravage has a fugly head. I don't like the head. The robot mode's fine. It's a little bit on the basic side, but it's okay looking. The transformation, again, mostly is him just falling forward or standing up. It's that kind of transformation for this. It's okay. He comes with some decent nick, like the weapons. He has a Megatron fusion cannon, which is kind of fun. Like, it just looks like Megatron's fusion cannon, but you stick it on the side of his body. He has a missile launcher as well, which again, you stick on the side of his body, purple missile, and that's about it. These don't really combine or do anything desperately interesting. The tail does come off of the Ravage toy, which it won't let us show the quote-unquote attack mode. You can pull off the tail, which is a mace, and he's got a big old swinging mace, like a Sharktacon from back in the day. Yeah, I just, I kind of just want to give him 6 out of 10 as well. I think he's better than Cruel Lock, but I don't think Cruel Lock's enough to... I like Cruel Lock enough to keep him at 6, and I dislike Ravage enough to keep him at 6 as well. Like, they're okay. He's okay. In terms of redos, we have the Commander Desert type that they call, or the Commander version. Oh, it's just the same version. One's the Japanese version. Is there any difference between these two? There is. Oh, the American one looks better. Okay, so the Japanese one, excuse me for sniffing, has gone for a blue color, and then for some reason, the highlight color is flesh. Bugman's Gold, as it's called in Warhammer Paint. It's kind of a flesh tone. And in the American version, that flesh tone is gold. So this was weird. All of the gold accents, fuck's sake, on this figure are flesh toned, and yet on the American version are gold. And obviously the gold looks a lot better. The Japanese one doesn't look as good. Huh, that's a rarity. You won't get me seeing that often, I can tell you that much. But yeah, Ravage just comes across as just, Axel Hedge says, I want to meet the crazy collector that Army built Terracons. Oh, Axel Hedge, his name's Orange. He's in the Discord. He's in the Discord chat. And he's also on Twitch at the moment. Orange, yeah. Orange, did you Army build these guys? I'm pretty sure you did. You said you only had 4 of the Insecticons, so I'm guessing you did. Hold on. I have big sniff there. I had to Scarface it. So yeah, that's all of the basics done. If you want to try this line, the Terracons are the way to go. Try any of them, even the bad repaints. You can not like the repaints. I would accept that. That's fine. But the molds are fun. Orange says, a fucking green-skinned zombie talking about flesh tones. Hey, I know. I paint flesh-colored things, or have done. I know things. Yes, I troop built these. I had 8 in total. Damn. I had a couple of Ravages and a Commander Ravage. I never had the Commander one. The Commander one looks okay. Looks okay. I wouldn't say no to Commander 1, to be honest. So Deluxes now. We're going to start off. We're not doing the repaints from Armada because we already talked about them. So we're starting off with Demolisher, who I'm not a big fan of. I got most of the Energon figures I got were Super Link versions. He really did not get any repaints. Huh. This mold didn't get any repaints. Oh, interesting. So a few things to just knock off the bat. He has translucent forearms, shoulders, for some reason. These have a pin for an elbow joint, a pin going through the shoulder to make a shoulder joint for an elbow joint, shoulder joint, and is connected to the shoulder as well, the shoulder joint. So already not off to a great start. He did not transform desperately well. It's very, very basic. I was never a big fan of the design or redesign because he was obviously Demolisher. And I didn't like how they redesigned him. Didn't like the head. There was nothing about this that said, oh, this is the tank dude who I kind of liked for being stupid and had an interesting look. He just changed into a square. However, I think the vehicle mode, which was a dump truck, was very good. It looked like a dump truck. The only issue I had with it was if you looked at it from the front, you would just see his arms folded up, which wasn't very good. But I think if you looked at it top downwards, it's got this giant Decepticon insignia in the dump truck thing, which looks nice. He has a attack mode, which is you untransform him a bit by getting his chest and folding him forward, and you get the dump truck and you put that entire thing over the back of his head, or on top of where his head was. And then you can fire 4 missiles. It's not a bad gimmick. It is a very cumbersome gimmick. And it only fires 4 missiles, even though there are 8 sculpted there. Not particularly cool. Very skippable, I would say. Big D says, oh gosh, oh gods, he's such a chunk, son of a bitch. My nephew loves him, though. It wasn't great alt mode, but I did dig how the shoulders had the cab detail. Yeah, the shoulders, well, one of the shoulders has a cab detail on it. The other one doesn't. They do just fold up, and in this shot where you can rotate the truck part as well, the dump truck skip part, let's call it. So in vehicle mode, he can kind of swing that around and use that as a rocket launcher. But it really does show how poor the arm transformation is. It doesn't really do anything. It very poorly hides the fact that these are just arms. So it's kind of lackluster, not very good, very skippable. I mean, clearly no one liked this mold enough in Hasbro themselves because they didn't repaint it once. Not once, which is interesting. There was a universe as well. Grimlock happened. These aren't in any order, by the way, so these aren't in show order. So Grimlock was a thing. He came in as a 2-pack with Swoop. I will pull it up now. I didn't have these. I think they were an exclusive. They did not look great. They did not look super great. Swoop was not in Swoop colors. He was gray and baby blue. Grimlock was in the correct colors and had some interesting proportions on him, let's say. And the reason was that they could combine together to form Mega Dinobot, as this was the gimmick of the Autobots ones. Decepticons had some kind of missile firing gimmick, some gimmick, while all the Autobots were meant to be a top half and a bottom half, very much like Landcross from Victory, except this was at a deluxe scale rather than, what do we class Landcross as? Like I guess Scout scale by today's standards. Oh God, talking. Not enjoying that at the moment. Hang on. Help, I'm dying. So yeah, Grimlock, not a handsome boy, I would say. Mega Grimlock or Mega Dinobot, not very handsome either. Did anybody in chat have this combo out of interest? Was not repainted, only used once. So yeah, if chat had either of these, well, I imagine you'd have both of them. If you had both of them, let me know. They don't look great though. I'll throw that out there. So I'll move on quickly to a very, 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 very... Orange says, dying again. Fuck, bro. Hey, zombies can die twice. How do you think people survive horror movies, you know? XL Hedge says, Demolisher is a weird construction callback. Constructicon callback. Can't read. Especially in the same line Constructicons with Constructicon Maximus. Yeah, that's a fair point. No, I never had those two. Okay, says Big D. So... Shockticon, one of the best ones of the line. One of the best ones of the line. I'll fight you. I'll fight you if you disagree. So, Shockticon does not look like a Shockticon. What is he? He is a boat that happens to look, well, maybe a submarine that happens to be in the shape of a shark. There are multiple movable turrets on this deluxe figure. Not only do the turret parts move individually, but the guns move as well. So that in itself, quite a lot. This is a very, very stylized, silly design that you'd see in something like G.I. Joe, which I really like. The robot mode is not quite as umphy as the alt mode. I think the alt mode is the better looking of the two modes, but it is a pretty solid robot mode despite that, with a really nice head design. And the sides of the ship split apart to form cannons, and those cannons in robot mode kind of go underneath his arms. So this is a fun figure. It's very playable, very easy to transform, has decent posability, very, very, very fun. Was only done twice, oddly enough. Oh, 3 times. I'm a lying whore. My apologies. He was done 3 times. He was done in the BotCon 2010, where he wasn't remolded, where he was the Shockticon. So he's in G1 Shockticon colors. I don't think that really works, to be honest, as that. I don't think that works too well. unfortunately. He was done in United Axelon. That was another bot concept, I think, where he's meant to be a spaceship. Yeah, it kind of works. It's more boring. What color scheme is this? It's just gray, black, and red. Kind of a very flat, boring kind of color scheme. And then finally, the kind of obvious one that BotCon did was they made him into Skybite. And they actually remolded his head for it. And it works pretty well. They've actually got the asymmetrical color scheme as well going on for him in robot mode. So his boob has the eye and the attempt of what the teeth would be or where they'd be. One half is blue, the other is the I don't know, grayish kind of color. I think they did a great job on this. I still think basic Sharkticon, in terms of his price, is really interesting. Having the boat primarily black, going into the robot mode. The robot mode maybe could have done with a bit more, less gray on the chest, maybe would have made me happy. Oh, did they actually? No, they didn't. Hang on. Did they repaint Skybite's chest? Did they remold the chest? No. I think that. No, they didn't. No, I'm stupid. I thought I was looking at where the eyes were placed on the Skybite, and no, they didn't remold the chest. Okay, but this mold, it's very, very fun. Like I say, not a complex transformation or anything. You're in and out. I think it's sold on the boat mode. The boat mode's just really cool. You ain't seen a boat mode like this before, and it makes me wish for like these really innovative, silly kind of designs, which we don't really get these days, because it's got to be G1, so it's got to look real. Maybe we'll get the Sharkticon, the Energon Sharkticon in the future. I hope so. I'd like to see it. Okay. Oh well, we go from a really cool one to kind of a lame one. We go to Hotshot. So Energon Hotshot is an upgrade from Armada Hotshot, but it's not a significant upgrade, I'd say, personally. He has to do the whole turning into trousers and turning into an upper torso. He's got a very thin body where his elbows plug in. His shoulder joints, they're on a ball joint, but you'd imagine the ball joint would let the arms swing outwards. They don't. They let the arms swing forward. So he has very little outwards he has next to no outwards movement on his arms. He does have, because of his transformation, his arms are on a big hinge. So he can do like a full like bicep curl. And his legs are very weird and wonky as well. His head is connected to his back panel via a ball. So there's a ball joint in the back of the middle of his head, not in like the neck part, at the back of his head, right in the middle of it. It's a very, very bizarre design, and it's all to accommodate the gimmick. The alt mode looks pretty good. It looks like a nice yellow sports car. The gun's translucent. Again, I don't know why. It's got a radar on it. I don't know why. This is not great. So, how does he look as a torso? Not great. He doesn't look great. He's using his legs, which are quite big and chunky for arms, so it looks like he's got Hulk hands, let's say. Is there one he's best on? Legs? No, because you can attach these to any of the megas as legs. Or I guess you could use him as legs on megas. But it's out of proportions. Out of proportion, I should say. It's just a bit of a mess. Everything of this figure is just lame. It's just not very good, I feel. Big D says Shockticon's pretty great. Orange says I only had 3 of this guy. Smallest trip build for amount of the Terracons. And Excelhead says nearly got the Age of Extinction re-release of Grimlock. Okay. Big D says the deluxe class Energon Autobots so varied in quality. Yeah, Hotshot was not one of the winners. Let's say. There were, oddly enough, a couple of repaints. Oh, 1 repaint. No, 2 repaints. 1 repaint, I think, is a better repaint for his, what they call it, just Energon mode, where they colored him mostly silver, then gave him red and orange highlights. It's not a bad color scheme. I think it looks pretty nice, and having a sports car in metallic-y silver, that works, especially with red flame highlights on it. Works quite well. And then they also did it for the Collectors Club edition, which was into Nightbeat. So they remolded the head, so it's not a headmaster, obviously. They did a good job repainting it into Nightbeat. You know, the problem is it's just not a good mold. I don't know what to tell you. It's not really a fun transformation. It looks bad in its robot mode. It suffers for its gimmick, and its gimmick isn't very well implemented. The best thing about it is the car mode, and it's just kind of it's not even like a really cool sports car. It's just like a... Yeah, it's an okay sports car. It's like, brother, it's how I describe it, you know. It's not great. Big D says, in fairness, Hotshot normally had some great paint jobs, but it took till Cybertron for him to get a... it took... We'll get to Galaxy 4 Cybertron. Yeah, he finally did get a good toy then. 2, in fact. Next up, we have Snowcat. This one's a weird one. So, Snowcat is a reference to the G.I. Joe series for some reason, as he is a Snowcat vehicle from G.I. Joe. I don't know why. I just remember thinking, that's a weird reference to make, but it's actually pretty cool. It works pretty well. The new head mold is a bit on the odd side. Robot mode, he's a bit on the fat side. It looks like he's been to Burger King a few too many times this week, let's say. And his legs aren't desperately nice as well. He has some interesting gimmicks to kind of try and make up for it, I suppose. The fact that you can add skis to his Snowcat mode is redundant, but fun enough. You can also flip the guns up in this mode as well. And you can get him into a skiing mode. Excuse me, which means you can fall down the skis on the front of his leg and the side of his leg, and he's in skiing mode. I have no idea why they decided to do it, especially since he primarily spent his time in space. But whatever, they were having fun, I suppose. The guns just awkwardly plop up over the tops of his shoulders, which isn't great. It's not really one of the good bits of the mold. The window wiper works. I think that's stupid but fun. It almost feels like you could upscale this figure and not change how it transformed, and it would be acceptable as like Human Alliance Transformers crossover G.I. Joe. You could just do this. Just upscale this transformation mode for the G.I. Joe line, and you wouldn't need to compromise on too much, I don't think. I think it's fun, but there's some... The chest is just so big and bulbous on him. It's weird. He got one other redo in Universe into black and orange. It looks really sinister. Not the G.I. Joe color scheme that you think, hey, why not put him into the G.I. Joe color scheme? That makes sense. Or do like a Cobra version, which I don't know what that would equate to be honest. No, they went for, what if he was black and then had orange highlights? And it's interesting. I think they kind of cheaped out because if you look at the robot mode, his legs have no paint on them. And yet the original one has different colored plastics and a bit of paint on them as well, so it makes them pop. This Universe repaint just felt like there's not much paint. Is there much paint? The eyes are done. The hands done, maybe? The hands are done. You can see the inner part is unpainted. The hubcaps on the treads are done. The eye visor's done, and the head bimble bit in the center of his forehead's done. It looks like very little's repainted on this. It looks like it's just hard remold colors, to be honest. Also, the translucent guns are still translucent. Bit of a shame. Yeah, whatever. Orange says, those are for Space Snow. Space Now. Andy, true. to be fair, asteroids are made up of a lot of water that's been frozen in space, so, you know, there's ample reasoning for saying that there's lots of cold snow in space, because if water goes out there, it freezes, I think, if I remember things. XL Hedge says, given that our current crossover series toys, you've got to wonder why Hasbro hasn't just made a new Snowcat. Just upscale this. It would already beat all of them, all of the G.I. Joe crossovers that I've heard of and seen look bad. I don't think I've heard great things about them either. Big D says they had the Tiger Force variant. They could have done that. It would have been a bit more interesting than this. Halloween Snowcap, yeah, it's definitely the color scheme they seem to have gone for here. Those are some bright orange eyes, Jeebus. Yeah, he's looking into your fucking soul, bro. If you're gonna get Snowcat, get the standard Snowcat. This is a project where you get this toy and you repaint it yourself, right? If you want your base to be black and orange, get this toy and then add colors to it yourself, and you could probably make this look really cool. If you don't want to repaint your figures, get standard Snowcat, I'd say. We have Rodimus, not Hot Rod, Rodimus, who is better than Hotshot. He is better than Hotshot. Oddly enough, he does not turn into a sports car. He turns into a truck. Seems appropriate for Prime, or Rodimus Prime. His shoulders are very awkward. The way that they work, they are the way they come off the shoulders they are pegged in via a ball joint. And it's not the way that I don't know how I would describe it. You'd need to see to understand. But when I say they're pegged in by a ball joint, you'd be like, oh, that's a good thing, right? It's like it's surprisingly not. And I think it's done that way to get the transformation to work, because the shoulders are the wheels to the truck mode. They've got to swing basically backwards, and yet also have like elbow articulation. So I think that's why they settled on the way they designed it. The forearms are okay. Again, lots of ball joints here. The general aesthetic and design, I think, is good. I like the head sculpt on it. It's good. I like the way the vehicle mode looks, and I think the transformation is okay. It's not the best, but it's perfectly okay. So, in terms of repaints, I know some that, yeah, they're missing technically 2 repaints that I have. They are missing the Lucky... do I still have them? I might have got rid of them. I had the Lucky Draw version of this guy, the silver version, and the gold version. So they did him in chrome, silver, and gold for some reason. That's the way they want. There's also Energon Checkpoint, which is basically Prowl colors. But if Prowl was a truck... Okay. Fucking why not? And there's also the Timelines version of him into Thunderclash, which is actually okay. For a Thunderclash out of this mold, again, Bokon, despite what you think of Bokon, they were pretty smart, mostly about getting their repaints of figures. I think it worked quite well for a Thunderclash. They didn't remold the head or anything like that, but decent job. I think, and Checkpoint is surprisingly interesting looking, especially the truck mode. Like a police truck works quite well. I don't like the giant Autobot insignia on his boob, in his center boob. It's almost like, yeah, it's like a middle boob tattoo. Middle boob tattoos look always kind of weird to me, for men and women. If there's a tattoo in the middle of your breasticles, to me, it always looks a bit on the strange side, no matter what it is. Orange says, I love Checkpoint. And XL Head says, I still say you could repaint / remold the current Legacy G2 Prime into Energon Rodimus. But why would you want to? That mold's been repainted too many times. You could. You shouldn't. Let that mold die. It's time to let it die. In terms of how he does as a chest, again, or an upper torso part, not well. Kind of a mess yet again. Doesn't look desperately good. As legs, how did he turn out for legs? I can't remember how he turns. I think he turns out his legs as like, oh, there's the legs there. The legs are fine, but he's got a lot of shit hanging off his ass, unfortunately. So, again, it's another gimmick that I don't think works desperately well here, unsurprisingly. Big D says, see, the version of Roddy is one of those Energon designs I'd love to see get given legacy. Or whatever the next thing is. Yep, treated minus the combining gimmick. I would agree. I like if we could get, maybe not checkpoint specifically, but if we could get this design without the crap combining gimmick, I'd be okay with seeing that. I'd be okay with that. I think it'd be kind of neat to see. Orange says, picks up the you tried cake and tosses it into the garbage. Do you think it's good? Do you think this is a good like torso mode? Is this a good torso mode? Look at it. He's got little baby stumpy arms. I like the guns over the back of the shoulders. That's kind of fun. But again, the main robot's arms, like that are the wheels for the vehicle mode, are just hanging out on the back as a mess. And his legs turn into the arms for the combined mode and just look like a mess. Oh, he's saying it's bad. It's bad. Yeah, okay. Sorry, I thought you meant that you thought it was okay and you were trying to defend it. I was like, is it better than Hot Rods? No, I think Hot Rods might be very minutely better. Very minutely better. But if someone said, Andy, you're fucking wrong, the Rodimus is clearly better than the Hot Rods combiner torso mode, I honestly wouldn't fight you on it. I look at both of them and go, eh. But the actual mold itself is okay. I'd say go get the mold. It's good enough. It's fun enough. Next up, we have Towline. A surprising and strange little figure. So, Towline is a sex pervert truck. It's one of the ones that, says free candy on the side. Doesn't actually, but it looks like one of those kind of vehicles. Actually, I'll tell you what it does look a bit like. It looks a little bit like, what's her face from Earthspark? The SUV woman who's now changed the vehicle mode, or did change the vehicle mode. It's that kind of vehicle. The interesting thing about this is he doesn't actually do a lot of transforming. You take the top half. Well, there's the bottom. It is okay. How to describe it? It's kind of like G1 Ironhide. Yes, that's how I would describe this. I would describe this as G1 Ironhide in terms of how they decided to make it transform. You take the top of the figure off, and there's the bottom half of the van, which is the wheels and the side panels and the back panels. And it becomes its own kind of launch bay. Not launch bay, but work bay, as there are treads that you can unfold from underneath it. And then the part that's left over transforms into a reasonably posable, fairly thin robot mode. They don't show any images of the trailer for some stupid reason. I don't know why. Oh, but you can see the trailer on Towline, not Towline. Yeah, Towline here. You can see the tank treads, which kind of work as feet at the bottom. In torso mode, he's probably one of the better ones. He is one of the better torso modes. His legs just kind of flip up behind his head and you pretend they're guns. It's like, okay. He doesn't look overblown, too big, too awkward. And why is that? Because most of his torso, or most of that robot is kind of left behind. It's very bizarre. He comes with an Energon weapon, which is a sex pervert listening device, Energon weapon radar dish thing. It's not great. The top that is on a ball joint always fell out for me because it's a ball joint which is all translucent. Not a great idea in retrospect. Kind of a bad idea, but what can you do? Orange says, this guy is a news van. Yeah, that's what I said, a sex pervert van. That's what I said. Big D says, I mean, there is a good reason it got Bokon, Ratchet, and Ironhide repaints. Yeah, we're just about to get onto them. Just needs the Channel XX logo on the side. Says Axel Hedge. And Big D says, the trailer was part of the fun of him. Yeah, I like the trailer part, but it doesn't really do a huge amount. It just kind of unfolds. It does help this figure in a lot of ways. I think this is a decent figure. It doesn't do a lot of transforming because of how it works. So that is a negative against it. Big D says, I mean, he's not having to incorporate extra legs. Yeah, that's what I was saying for the torso mode. So repaint-wise, it's just Ironhide and Ratchet. So what if he was red and had a new head? Oh, there's the base mode. They actually showed it here for some stupid reason. So you just unfold it, and then you just get your weapon and plug it in, and that was it. You unfold the treads on the back, and that was about it. It looks a bit silly, but it is super reminiscent of Ironhide and obviously Ratchet as well. They both share the same head. I don't think it works desperately well as an ambulance. For Ironhide, it works fine as a van. That's fine. Not really well as an ambulance, but Towline, I would say, is the better version of this mold. I don't think the colors on him are the best, generally speaking. But I think the way that this guy works is fairly satisfying, even though he doesn't do a huge amount of quote-unquote transforming. Glasses pushed up my nose. Starscream's next. We've talked about Starscream before because he's basically just Smoke Jumper. He's the exact same transformation scheme. They have done very little to change him, but they have added translucent pieces to him. Good. That's always a good thing. Yes, his wings can unpeg from his back and fold up over his shoulders, and they're missile gimmicks. It's not too bad of a gimmick, to be honest. He also comes with a blade and a goon, and you can combine the goon and blade together to become a super goon blade. Basically, the gun can be held by the barrel, and then the sword just kind of plugs into the bottom, so it becomes a really big sword. It's pretty good. Again, because the mold is so good, just in its base form, it's just a good jet. It's just good. And it was recolored a couple of times. We have the Energon Starscream version, which is, what if, and this might confuse you, Chad, what if we took the Starscream figure and repainted it as Starscream?
Wow.
Yes! Wow, indeed. Now, the big boon about this figure is no translucent pieces on him. So that is good. That is good. And then he got redone into Skyquake for BotCon, which is one I own. So no new head, just Skyquake colors. Works pretty well as Skyquake. However, unfortunately, they did the stupid thing of making the translucent parts still translucent. Not a good idea. Not a good idea. And there was also, which was part of the same set, Leozak, who's done in an interesting color scheme as well. I mean, it's Leozak, and again, translucent parts are translucent, and then it looks like from the close-up of his head, his blue for his head is sparkly. He's not the right color for Leozak, as Leozak is not just blue. He's more the toothpaste kind of color that we've talked about earlier on in the show. He's more that kind of color scheme. But this works nicely at the very least. And this color scheme, this mold, again, this is a solid mold. Is this better than the Smoke Jumper mold, even because they are the same, transformation scheme? Is this better? No, there's no translucent on Smoke Jumper. It's also not Starscream, or trying to be anybody else. It's trying to be its own thing. So it's also a plus there. This is trying to be somebody else who we already know. The gimmick is nice. I'll grant you that. I think Smoke Jumper still beats it, personally. Big D says, points for learning, leaning into him being a ghost gimmick. I would say no points, because translucent plastic is not a good thing. Conceptually, it makes sense, but for toy stability, not a smart move. Not a smart move, but understandable. Excel Hedge says, woo, give us Legacy Energon Starscream. I mean, if you do that, how do you even do this figure? Without just doing the same fucking transformation scheme again and then just kind of tweaking the joints. I think that's all you could do, right? Which I'm not against, because if they do that, they've basically got license to do Smoke Jumper, BB, what do you call it? Robot Masters equivalent. You've got the Space Cosmos Guy and Terra Dive you can do from them as well. So it opens up like a smorgasbord of repaints that you could do if you chose to do it, of course. Inferno, another Autobot, in quotations, big one, fire truck. Let's say stylized fire truck. One of the better Autobot ones. Bit on the clunky side for the robot mode, I'd say generally. But thankfully forms, again, fairly decent torso. And I think he forms fairly decent legs. Is there an Inferno combo on here? Oh, Roadblock's close enough. Yeah, it's a fairly solid, like, combined mode. It's a little bit messy because, again, he's bringing up his legs over the back of his head. It doesn't work super well, but it's okay. Very, very, very simple transformation. This is actually a really good transformer for like young kids, as all you basically do is swing the side door panels out, drop the legs down, unfold the feet, and then swing the arms forward, and then uncover the face, and you're done. It's very, very, very basic, but it works well enough. It's okay. He got redone a couple of times. He got redone into a Roadblock, which is, it's more of a, it's retooled as well. He's got, instead of a fire hose missile launcher, he's got a crane hose missile launcher and a new head where it's just, he's wearing a very big square hat. New color scheme on him is quite nice though. Is this one got any specific repaints? No. And Inferno didn't seem to get any repaints either. Huh. Yeah. Inferno, not much to say. Very, very basic. Very, very, he's fine. You know? Slug Slinger. Banger. Banger, 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 banger. Bang her, bang Understand? Okay, so, Slug Slinger is a twin-nosed jet. So it's a super futuristic jet. I will give the negative that it is not a super fun transformation, as he does kind of explode. Panels just kind of flop about everywhere. You kind of finagle pieces. His big wings on his back basically kind of flop over the front of him as well to kind of hide a lot of stuff. But the jet mode is very unique and interesting, cool, very swooshable, very different kind of look. And the robot mode's not too bad either. Again, an issue you could say is because the shoulders are on hinge joints for the transformation, the actual shoulder joint, when you move that, can unpeg that a bit, which can be annoying. I really love the head mold on this. The head sculpt is really interesting. It's an asymmetrical face design where it looks like he's like normal robot transform on one side and then like horrible Cyber Beast. It's a Cyber Beast almost kind of design on the other side of his face. Or Transmetal 2 Dinobot, you know, with his little pokey out eye. Same idea. Did this guy get repainted? He got repainted one time into Air Razor. With a resculpted head. It's okay. It's okay. I like Slug Slinger here. It's also like one of the few times Slug Slinger gets a look in, so it was nice to hear the name again. And a really interesting, unique design. Like him, for me, him and Shockticon were the standouts of the deluxe line. The deluxe part of this wave, of this toy line, you know, I really like them. I think they're really interesting. They're unique characters that have a fun transformation to them. We also have the Powerlings, which is the deluxe Optimus Prime. I had this, but I had this in the gift set, the Japanese gift set, which came with Kicker. I never opened them. I sold them to my buddy Brad because I just bought. Why did I even buy it? I don't even know why I bought it. I made profit on it, I'm sure, but I like, this is Fatimus Prime. He's Fatimus Prime, but without the Superlink combining gimmick. So it just doesn't make sense. He's obviously the truck mode. He looks like the truck, and he still looks like a piece of shit in robot mode. How does he do as a torso? Poorly. What a fucking mess. What a mess! I was like, where are his arms? Oh no. Oh no. I got so angry. I had to go back to the start and soon screen. I got so mad at it. I got so angry. No, that was just me missing the button. Yeah, this is oh boy. Yeah. Optimus Prime is generally a skippable Optimus Prime, but this is not a handsome boy. This is like if you compare this to the deluxe version of the Armada Prime, I feel visually this looks like a big downgrade, and again, it's because they're trying to incorporate a shitty gimmick. Yeah, the Armada Deluxe Prime instead. Axel Hedge says, imagine if he was repainted as the Pretender Doubleheader. That'd be a great idea. Give him a new head. Yeah, that would make sense, Axel Hedge. I'd be down for that. Surprised Bokon never did that when they had the license. Maybe they just couldn't figure out a logical way to get like a Pretender in there into one of the stories. Maybe they didn't count on him being successful as a like character to draw people in, because who the fuck's Doubleheader, you know? So next up, Prowl. Prowl, I remember being, again, a pretty simple transformer, but satisfying enough. He turns into a race car of some description. His head does absolutely no transforming. If you want to, you at home can transform like Prowl does, if you wish. Lie on your back, and then tuck your chin into your chest. That is Prowl. Enjoy. There you go. That's about as good as it gets for Prowl. He had one other redo. This was the one that goes with the Rodimus. What's his name? I can't remember. We talked about it before. This is the police version of Prowl. So he's now speeding down the highway, breaking all the rules, just at high legal speeds, I suppose. It's fine. Again, he's not a crazy kind of good. But man, he's got some fucking long monkey arms, doesn't he? He's one of the more. Is he one of the better torsos? Probably. He's probably one of the better torsos, even though he does have long, unhinged, slender man arms to steal the children with. Can we see it combined with the Rodimus? Oh, when you combine it with what's his fucking name? Chase, the Rodimus redo, they work actually quite well together. As a set, you can see why they were sold together. The colors work. You could say that the grayish plastic on the Prowl doesn't mesh super well with the white of the Chase, but it's good enough. I'd say this is the better combo than using the Chase as a torso. Oh, no, thank you. No, thank you. This is the better way. Orange says, I think the gimmick has potential, but just executed poorly. Not that they had the budget to do any better back then. I just don't think it's done well here. I think they were asking to do too much. Far, far too much with too small of a price point. They did a little bit better with the Voyagers. Well, we'll get to that in a moment. Exelhead says, combined with Rod. Yeah, I just mentioned that. Big D says, if this had been superposable version, like Deluxe Armada Prime, he could have been something tasty. Yeah. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, I suppose. A disguise only fitted to the mean streets of Dubai. Oh my god. There we go. So, yeah, that's Prowl. Not a cool one. Downshift is a much better figure, I'd say, for the Autobots. He's Wheeljack, unsurprisingly. A pretty decent-looking Wheeljack. The problem was he had giant feet. So the ladies were obviously a big fan of him. But generally, he had a really nice car mode. Excuse me, a really nice, successful car mode. The robot mode, despite having a giant split down his groin and having a limited, faux top of the car mode to try and give the effect of Wheeljack, is good. It's better. In terms of torso mode, again, I'd kind of go with okay. Very, very big forearms again, and just guns over the shoulders, which is probably the best thing that they can do with it. In terms of redos, he got a universe downshift, which is, but what if Wheeljack had yellow on him and was still primarily white? And then for the camo, they actually added blue paint. This is really ugly. Really fucking ugly and really fucking lazy. Energon downshift sucks. Sucks. Botcon Timelines did a good version of him, though, where they did him into Slicer, so they just Slicer colored him up. And that obviously just looks good. Slicer's colors have always been really nice, so you can't fault that. I think this was a pretty decent figure. I don't think he had 90-degree elbow bend, though, which was a bit annoying. But I think especially compared to the rest of the Autobot ones, he was one of the better ones. Big D says, I like Downshift. For me, probably the best deluxe Autobot. Let's have a look at the list. You're probably right. So, yeah, I'm happy enough to agree with that. I'm happy enough to agree with that because the next one is Kicker. So what does Kicker transform into? I didn't turn into shit. I'm pretty sure I remember Dave's breaking, which is why I didn't take mine out of the package. He was a fairly shitty posable action figure. He did have articulation, but not very good articulation, and he came with high wire from Armada, and he turns into a shitty robot, and it's a bike, an okay bike for Kicker to ride, but he turns into a shitty robot. The robot looks like it wants to die. I empathize with the robot constantly, but this downshift robot, especially for deluxe scale, I realize he came with Kicker, so you have to, you have to kind of shrug your shoulders and go, ugh. But this is engineering wise Minicon levels of engineering. Just what if we got a Minicon and upscaled it and give it a budget? Give it a budget? No! Let's not give it a budget. It's ugly as sin. And yeah, Kicker's just shit. I mean, I don't know who would want fucking Kicker. He was a piece of shit. We're not talking about the show, but Kicker was a piece of shit in the show who never got better, and he even wasn't good in the Japanese dub. Who wanted Kicker? Fuck Kicker. Kicker sucks. Orange goes, ooh, Kicker. You sure exist. Yep. He sure did. He sure did. He also... I think they have taken aspects of Kicker and they have taken Kicker's engineering into the future. What do I mean by this? Look at how his hands are molded, right? This is the hand design that they use all the fucking time now for RC figures or female Transformer figures, generally speaking. Just give him a peg hand, a hole in his hand. He doesn't need to have I'm choking the life out of someone. But they did. They did. They decided to go that route. Welcome, Blue. I'll just call you Blue if you don't mind. Welcome, Blue. Holy crap! What is this? I've never seen a Transformer so bad. Welcome to Energon, Kicker, and Highwire. I think it's reasonable to say that this is the worst Transformer of the Energon line. I can put my hands up and say with confidence that this is the worst one. It's ugly. It's a nice bike. Okay, nice thing. It looks like a nice bike mode. There you go. And Kicker can ride it. So that's nice. That's where it ends. It's shit. Did it get any repaints? It does not look like it did, thankfully. Don't think Kicker got any repaints either, thankfully. Oh, this is the one I had. This is the Kicker I had. Oh, fuck's sake. I had the anniversary version, so it's a bit more fancy. You can tell the American one and the Japanese one. The Japanese one, oh my god! The Japanese one is the better looking one. He came with a sword as well. But yeah, there's Kicker and Highwire. Yay! The crap. Axel Hedge says Optimus should have sent Kicker home to his mother. No, he should have sent me home to his mother. I'd have sorted her out. Like threatened to do in the show. I thought I read that Axel Hedge as threatened to do her in the show, and I was like, did Prime said I'll kill your mum unless you go home, Kicker? I don't think that happened, but maybe it's been a while since I've watched Energon. Okay, so now we're on to the megas. This is one of the few I haven't had. Cliff Jumper. Cliff Jumper turns into a dune buggy. I don't actually know why they didn't just call him Sandstorm. I would have called him Sandstorm personally than Cliff Jumper. Turns into a pretty decent looking robot, but obviously has the issue of having to form a torso. So this is the first of the megas or the Voyagers that are turning into torsos. It's as messy as the deluxes, unfortunately. Even though we're at a mega price point and engineering costs, we are still kind of in the this is kind of a mess kind of look to these guys, unfortunately. Did anybody in chat have Cliff Jumper or his repaint, which was Energon Beachcomber? So what if him but blue with evil red visor as well? Yeah, did anybody have this mold? If so, what was your thoughts on him? Because from my perspective, not having this mold, it looks okay. It looks decent enough. Like, it's a strong looking robot mode, and it's a fairly strong looking vehicle mode. But I can't say. I'll wait for we'll move on to the next one because I can't talk too much about it because I didn't have it. And if anybody did have it, I'm sure they'll put it in chat. So next up, we have Shock Blast. Nearly a really good toy. Nearly. He's so close. And he's brought down by his fucking cannon arm with fucking sound box in it. He's almost really good. I like him a lot. But then this goddamn cannon arm with its stupid sound box, and he can't bend his arm. Yeah, in the show, he had this giant cannon arm, but there was a joint exactly where the speaker is, so he could bend the cannon part of the arm a little bit. Not so here, obviously. Big D says, I do have Cliff Jumper somewhere. Picked him up a decade or so ago, and he's pretty decent. Nice and chunky in a good way. Excel Hedge says, Sandstorm's name was probably lost in copyright. Yeah, knowing Hasbro, probably. So, Shock Blast, not Shockwave. No. Shock Blast had two vehicle modes. He had a quote-unquote tank mode, which granted was not much of a transformation. It was very, very basic. You pegged the legs together. You gave him a big hinge joint at the chest, so he has a massive hinge joint, so the legs can swing out. And then you just kind of fold his head away, and you make him do the what's that kind of pose called? Isn't there a dance move where you're like saluting back and forth with your hands? It's kind of like that. Imagine you're saluting with... Oh, it's a dab. Imagine him dabbing, right? That's what you do with the arms to make him into a tank mode. It's not very interesting, I'm afraid. Then he has a base mode. Or I think this was a satellite mode, wasn't it? This entails very little. You get the tank treads on the front and you pull them back and they unfold some solar panels. And on the legs, you twist them around and you unfold some more solar panels for some reason. And then you flip up the gun, or the gun that's on the normal hand to reveal the solar panel. I think it was meant to be satellite mode, but it was a bit on the strange side. You could also fold out these panels in robot mode as well if you chose to. It's odd. There was a switch on the gun where you would push forward and the missile would shoot forward. It would also open up the translucent parts on the side of the gun, the claw part of the gun. It was quite interesting, and it would set off the sounds and lights and all that jazz. This was my first proper Shock Blast Laser Wave, whatever you want to call him, in a while, and I think it was okay. It was okay. It had the armor is literally his biggest downgrade. However, I think the better version, I've said this many times before on the show, is Six Shot. Six Shot. Two separate words, not 6-shot or 6-shot, one word, 6 new word shot. So this guy was just a repaint, but he was repainted into deserty kind of color and translucent red and purple. And it looked really, really fucking cool, at least in my tiny brain. I think this was a really cool color scheme. I don't have this version of him, but I always thought it looked good. This color scheme and on this color. This mold, I should say. Oddly enough, that was the only time it was recolored, just the one time, surprisingly. Again, it's one of those ones where it's trying. I want to like it more than I should like it. Like, my brain says it's not that good, but my body is telling me yes. My body is telling me yes. So I do like it, but realistically, it's not that great of a figure. It's like it's okay if I'm kind to it. Alpha Quintessa, I never owned it. I never wanted to own it. Who wanted to own this figure? You crazy, crazy people. So, he came with a few parts, and shockingly, from the looks of things, not as much articulation as you would think it would have. He came with a base, and then he plugged in, it seems like, tentacles into these things. He had the face change gimmick. I can't talk about the quality of the toy, as it seems more like a display piece than a toy that a child would want, you know? So, let's say in terms of nice things, I think it's a redesign of the Quintessons to a Quintesson singular. I think the redesign's okay. It's not a bad idea. It makes them far more threatening looking than the normal Quintessons, who are just eggs with lots of faces on them that can't do shit. This looks more intimidating and like it could do more to you. The problem is, I don't think it translated to a very interesting looking toy. I don't think this had got redone. No. Oh, I tell you what I want to do. Hang on, let me turn off the website capture just for a quickie, because I'm interested. I want to do a thing. Hang on. Let's copy the name Alpha Quintessa. Alpha Quintessa. Let's go on to eBay. I want to say what Alpha Quintessas are running for these days. Alpha Quintessa. These are the results I found. Alpha Quintessa, you see it. Okay, so best match, lowest price. None. There is none. Quintus. Okay, Energon. No. Energon Alpha. Nothing. Well, if you're on UK eBay and you want an Alpha Quintessa, too fucking bad. You're not gonna get him. I guess that means one of two things. One, it's a rare figure because nobody bought it, or two, no one can find anybody to sell it to, so no one wants to put them on eBay. I don't know. A good Quintesson, question mark, so weird. Yeah. Yeah, I wouldn't say this was a good toy. Here's a question. Is Alpha Quintessa better than the Earthrise Quintesson? I'd say no. But I wouldn't say it's a marked improvement. Because the Earthrise Quintesson has extra play value, though the play value is stupid. Like, it could turn into that base thing, which didn't look like anything. And it had its weird spin gimmick, which again isn't anything. I still think that it might just be a little bit better. I'd agree, Earthrise Quintesson is, I don't think I'd go with decent. I wouldn't go as far as decent. I'd say it's better than the Energon version, but I don't think there's a reason why I didn't buy it, because it looked kind of shit. Because it doesn't turn into anything. But it's interesting. I'll give it that. It was interesting. Now, one of the figures I fucking hated from Energon, the toy line, Ironhide, this is a shit figure. This figure could be done at deluxe scale, and you'd lose literally nothing. So, Andy, why is he ultra? Why is he mega scale, Andy? Because he has shitty sounds in his head unit. I hate everything about this design, primarily because the head just sticks out the top of the vehicle mode, doesn't hide, it's just right there. I think this is a good toy for a baby. A baby, because it does very little in terms of transforming. A baby can transform this. You could scale this down to, by today's engineering standards, you could put this in Scout Core class. This is a core class transformation with ratchet joints and sounds. That's it. It sucks. It fucking sucks. So Andy, how is the combined mode? Okay, let's not show on the deluxe body. That's not fair. It's fine. It's fine, I guess, as a torso. But still shit. But that's not saying a lot. Big D says the only thing going for Ironhide is he's got heft to him. Yeah. Otherwise, it angers me. Orange says he's fucking stupid surfer bro voice. Yeah, that didn't help. To be fair, though, the Japanese version wasn't much of a saving grace either. If he was a human, his name would be Blake. Oh. What about Brady? Isn't Brady the name of the villain from Point Break? I think it's Brady. Brady's a surfer guy name, I think. Big D says, and in turn makes me angry that I'm getting angry about it. That's fair. The whole character was cringe, yeah. American eBay has Alpha Q for 25 open, 90 in box.
Wow.
Suck my cock, 90. 25 is well open. It's kind of rough, bro. It's kind of rough. But yeah, Ironhide, crap. Very crap. He got one repaint too many. Instead of being blue, they went, what if green and blue? And if I'm kind, I'd say maybe this no, the color scheme's still kind of poo. It's just kind of flat and boring. He's now background character colors now, rather than up in the front. Yeah. This is a very shit mega. Very, very shit. Jetfire, I don't remember being a great mega either, to be honest. I would say he's better than Armada Jetfire, though. Because I really don't like that figure, and how that figure transforms, I think, was a mess. This is a boring transformation, and I hate the jets being just sticking off the side of his leg. That's really stupid. But I think as a transformer, he transforms better. He's more solid than the Armada version. So how does he do as a torso? Fine. One of the better Voyager torsos, I think. Still not great, but again, better. Shuttle mode. It looks like an upgraded version of the Armada version, so yeah, okay. It's okay. I'm sorry. I think I got nothing much to say about it. I think I had this version. I think I had the Energon version, the super version, which is, why not make him boring colors? White and blue. Primarily white. A little bit blue. Yeah. This was a more boring color scheme. I'm not saying the previous color scheme of mostly burgundy was desperately exciting, but I think it's better than the upgraded version. Again, I don't have much to say about Jetfire because I just don't like it. Mirage, I've got a bit more to say about, because Mirage is both good and bad. I visually like the look of him in all of his modes, right? He has a really good looking robot mode. He has a really good boat mode, a really solid looking sexy boat mode. The transformation is not desperately fun, but fine. The issue is the amount of shite that's hanging off him in robot mode. He has shit hanging off of his forearms because he's got the sides of the boat and the gun missiles that flop down side on his forearms. On his back, he's got a big backpack which has a activator which flips over missiles over his back, which is a bit fuffy. And then on his hip skirts, it's not a hip skirt, right? This is a hip wedding gown. Right? And that's not even a joke. You know how wedding gowns have what they call trails? Are they trails where you've got to have a little girl or someone pick them up and off the ground because otherwise they're going to get caked in mud and dog shit? That's the stuff Mirage has got going on here, because it's the entire side of the boat. The whole side and front little portion of the boat mode just hangs off the side of the robot mode, which makes posing kind of awkward and faffy. The only thing you can really do is kind of point them up into the air, which also looks really awkward and silly. the only other thing you can do is just parts form it. Just pop them off the ball joints and throw them into a box somewhere. Oh, it's called a train, apparently. Thank you, Big D. I'm sorry. I haven't gotten married too many times, nor do I care about wedding gowns. I don't know. Some kind of stupid white dress. I don't know. Looks stupid. Costs way too much, if you ask me. But yeah, there's too much gubbins and crap hanging off of him. Otherwise, he's a good figure. He's got good, fun articulation. The gimmick I don't like is it's a gimmick that's on a spring joint using translucent plastic for some godforsaken reason. But then it's just all this extra shit. I don't even remember why the missiles on the side of the boat mode could fall down. I guess it's like space flight mode, boat mode. It's I wouldn't say this was an upgrade from Tidal Wave. He also shrank in the show, which was kind of funny. Mirage is an insult to Tidal Wave. Good design, weird personality. I remember nothing about it, the personality. I remember very little about Energon. I watched it once and went, you know what? Never again. I don't need to watch it again. It was terrible. Orange said, I hate that Tidal Wave shrunk down into that. He was cool looking, but I love Tidal. No, yeah, I mean, there's a lot of biases towards Tidal Wave because Tidal Wave was very cool, but I think as a toy, this is again, it was almost good, and then there's just it's a really good sandwich, but there's a little bit of shit on it. You know, it's like, ooh, I almost like this, but there is just a little bit of poo here, which just spoils the flavor. You know, that's the kind of feeling. Because I do like the head sculpt. I think the head sculpt's neat. It did get redone a couple of times into Energon Dreadwing, which is actually a really nice color scheme. They added a tamp on the front part of his head, which is cool. It's this kind of baby blue boat. It looks nice. And then I have this one, the Banzai-tron version, which is also a really nice looking version of the figure. No new head, but Banzai-tron colors are grey, purple, and green. Again, looks really nice, I think, visually. The mold just is kind of... That's how I best describe it. Now, we got Bulkhead now, who is our first Ultra. Are we on to Ultras? We're on to Ultras. Ultras... The two Ultras... There are no Decepticon Ultras, I'll throw out there, which is lame. But the two Autobot Ultras are really good. They're really good and fun. So we have Bulkhead here, who's totally not Springer. Totally not Springer. He turns into a helicopter. And a pretty decent looking robot mode. Pretty fun transformation from what I remember. He has the kind of lame helicopter blades, which you can push together, which forms like a stick that you beat people with, sort of, that spins. I never understood what the blades were meant to turn into, because you kind of straighten them out and it's meant to be a weapon of some sort. That was kind of lame, but that wasn't the Cellar. The Cellar was what they called the base, which was on the end. There was it was, think of this like Skylings, right? You have Bulkhead, and then the bottom half, which was a separate unit, which could become its own, like, Ed 209 robot, which had cool, like, splayed out feet, which had individually moving toes. And it was fairly posable for what it was. You could get this and then stick it on his back, and it could be used for big grabby hands. And a gun pack as well. And could obviously be picked up in the helicopter mode and flown around. I really liked this. It was basically a Transformer and an Action Master companion robot. Is how I would best describe it. An Action Master companion robot. You know, remember how the Action Masters had those weird little things that either turned into a gun or a backpack or something? This is what it reminded me of. It reminds me of this kind of playstyle where it's a silly drone that can also be formed into a silly additional. Yeah, that's what it looked like. The Ed 2, you mean it looked like Ed 209? Yeah, that's the vibe I got from this. I think this was a really good set, really fun transformation, and an extra figure. Well, not extra figure, but weaponizer. Orange says it would be a weaponizer in modern term. Yeah, if we're using the term weaponizer, which is a decent term to use, this was a good set, a fun set. It goes a little bit down for Quick Strike, which is the repaint of this, which is just what if the helicopter but red. So visually, it just excuse me, I find gets a little bit boring, unfortunately. I'm not a big fan of it. It's just like you look at it and you go, the drone looks good in black and red, but the robot's just dull. I think I'm surprised they didn't even call it Blades. Blades would have been the optimal, the obvious choice to call it, right? I would have thought so, at least. Anyway, this was a good one. This is one you should pick up. Very fun little figure. Not as fun. I'd say this is better. This is maybe one of the best figures in the line. Landmine. Landmine is the best figure in the line. Yeah, Landmine, the best toy of the Energon line. Fight me, coward. So Landmine starts off as a basic little robot who's fairly interesting and fun to transform. He turns into a snowplow. Is it fair to say snowplow? I think it's fair to say snowplow. It's really fun that his feet and his groin are the front of the snow shovel. And then he comes with the back unit as well. The back unit is can connect to the snowplow mode. It has a crane on it. It has a digger on the back of it, front of it, I suppose. And a missile and a gun and treads as well. So that doesn't sound too impressive, but this drone thing, base mode that you can say, combines way better than Bulkhead. Bulkhead, he's just kind of awkwardly slotted onto his back. With Landmine, the tank treads and shovels become giant fists and arm guards, and then the back unit becomes a giant backpack with like maybe their radar dishes or something like that, antennae, and then he's got like the hook which comes over his shoulder, which has a retractable on-string cable, so you can pull it out and you press a button and it pulls it back in. That's very cool. And also an extra gun, so it really makes him big, fat, and chunky. And it's like, yo, baby mode. He's just going about his bigness. Now the boy's going to play, and he's coming to. Actually, you could have repainted this as a Space Orc, and I'd buy it from Warhammer. I would have bought it. In terms of like a continuity, I'm not saying I would have. Well, maybe I would have bought it. In terms of redos, he's had 2 redos. He's had a Landquake, which was his upgrade, well, quote unquote upgraded form. Instead of orange, he's gone into more of a white form. Looks okay, actually. Looks okay. Yeah. Both of his modes look fine. Better than Bulkhead's other version, I would say. This one's okay. It's not very exciting. It's solid. And then he was done as Land Shark for BotCon 2009, where he's more in military colors. I think this is probably his best. I like this. It's maybe it's a bit drab, but I think this is a good solid mode as well for him. He looks like a big army bruiser, doozer kind of guy. So far, all of his color schemes are all pretty good. I would recommend getting this figure. It's a lot of fun. I really like the head design as well, where you've got this kind of visor going over the top of a normal head. Very glad I still have it in my collection, says Big D. I got rid of mine. I sold mine at some point. A bit of a shame. Orange says, just re-release this, Hasbro. Leader Pride. No. If you're going to re-release it, make it new. You could improve on this. It's a good mold, but you can improve. It's been 20 years. If we can't improve a figure 20 years old, Orange, I think Hasbro's really in the shitter, I would say. Excelhead says, Landmine, question mark. Andy, you have a weird way of saying Scorponok is the best figure of the line. Scorponok is fun. I like Scorponok, but in terms of the playability, this does a lot more. We do have Scorponok along here somewhere. Yeah, he's here. We got the 2 combiners now. So they consist of Barricade, Blackout, Blight, Kickback, and Stormcloud, the famous Constructicons. Combaticons. I'm an idiot. Never mind. Each of the individual Blight and Kickback are the 2 same guys. They're both tanks with the exact same mold, and Stormcloud and Blackout are the exact same as well. So have a quick look at Blight. He is you'd probably class him as a basic. He is a flak tank, anti-aircraft kind of tank. He has really fucking giant feet. Very similar in idea to how flat and big oh fuck, what's his name? Oh, what's his name? The first guy we were talking about. It's been so long. The Omnibot dude. The Omnibot dude, whatever his fucking name was. Same kind of idea. It's not the front of its windscreen this time. It's just the top of the tank mount. So it's a little bit awkward. He's got guns on the side of his head, which are quite nice. Fairly posable, fairly fun. He's primarily a combiner port, though, and the helicopter, I think, is a little bit more fun. Strong arm, thanks, Big D. Strong arm's a little bit more fun. He's more in proportion with himself. The helicopter mode's fine as well. And then Barricade. Barricade has earmuffs on the side of his head. Maybe he's listening to some strong tunes. He's a fairly decent combiner, robot in his own right, and he turns into a missile launcher as well. Quite a decent looking one. And they form Bruticus Maximus, which was the first combiner that was like a 5-man combiner we'd had in a very long time. How successful was it for the time? Pretty successful. How is it now looking back at it? Well, it has translucent hands and feet, which is a little bit yikes. Also, the combiner joints were, for some reason, and I don't know why, also translucent. So you would plug translucent joints into ports. I don't know why this was why they decided to do this specifically with translucent pieces, but they did. It was a choice that they made. I don't think it was a good choice, though. In terms of how he looks, I like the redesign. I like the new head. Oddly enough, though, the head looks more like... What's his name? My brain's died, I'm afraid, chat. The Obliterator from G2. I know what he looks like. Fuck me. Hang on, we'll find him. Subgroup. Obliterators, right? Oh, obliterators. He looks like Clench. He's got Clench's face. There's Clench's face. And there's Bruticus Maximus's face. He's got the same kind of mouth design as that. So again, visually in terms of looks, he doesn't pose very well. His legs are quite close together. But again, fun enough for the time period, but not great. It did get redone into the movie version, where they just kind of muted all the colors out. This was the base for the big rush for this, because no one wanted this until Fans Project. Was it Fans Project that did it? Yeah, Fans Project did the Bruticus Maximus upgrade kit to turn it into G1 Bruticus. I have that kit and combined it with this one because I didn't want to buy the new one. And it worked good. It still works good. That's a good upgrade kit for this to make it a much better toy. It also replaces 2 of these guys into much better figures as well, to be honest. So, Bruticus Maximus, decent. At least for what they were trying to do. Not a perfect figure. Has issues, but for a combiner this day and age, 20 years old, not too bad. Excel Head says if you any Bruticus Maximus get the United one or the Revenge of the Fallen one. Yeah. I mean, it probably doesn't have the translucent plastic on it, I would imagine. Next up, we have Constructicon Maximus, which I never had, so I can't tell you about these. I can tell you that the individual robots look interesting. Steam Hammer looks neat. Did anyone have these guys, like Sledge? One benefit looks like there's... No, these are the same, and these 2 must be similar as well, right? Then this one's... Oh, these 2 are the same, and this one's the... Oh, this is the center one. This is the center guy. And the... Okay, Bone Crusher and Sledge are the same. Dust Storm and Wide Load are the same, and Steam Hammer is the centerpiece. Would these have been better if they were all in Constructicon colors? Maybe. Again, they've got the weird hands and feet. How was this guy, chat? Was he any good? I don't know. I did have Superion Maximus, though, who I really didn't like. Wasn't really a fan of Jetstorm, Terror, Dive, Sky, Shadow, Treadshot, or Windrazor and Treadshot. I thought these were fun enough to transform. They were quite easy, nice and fast to transform. The Sky Shadow they were, again, they were fine. I didn't like Stormjet, or just generally how the Superion looked in general. To be honest, I just wasn't a fan. While I wait for info on Steamhammer, Scorponok, we missed talking. I put him here because he's classed as Commander scale, but he's a mega. It's weird. Scorponok doesn't do a huge amount of transforming. However, I think he was a really big, strong, stocky toy with a lot of plastic to him. They upped his price by having a stupid voice and sound box in his tail. I wish they hadn't done that. I did like the fact that he had missile launchers in his claws, so he opened his claws up and missiles could fire out of them. That's pretty fun. This industrialized Scorpion, I thought looked really nice and was a nice nod, obviously, to G1 Scorponok. His robot mode had issues where, obviously, he had gorilla arms where, you know, if you wanted to have an elbow bend, you'd have to turn the entire shoulder around to get that to bend. So it wasn't the most posable, but he had a good solid look to him. Very big and chunky and clicky. He was a triple changer as well. He transformed, in quotations, to a jet mode, in quotations. And very much like all third party, very much like all triple changers, it's meh. It's a very meh jet mode. It'll get you there. Doesn't look great. He had a few dues. He got redone into the Cybertron Dark Scorponok, which was really fucking cool. And I remember at one point it was cheap as chips. I think it's expensive now. But he was done in like grays and reds and lots of really interesting looking colors. Made for a really sinister looking spider. And he got turned into Double Punch, which I have for BotCon. So I think this is like the only of two. Yeah, no, there have been 3 Double Punches. There was the original. There was the BotCon version, which was the Red Scorponok. And then this Double Punch for BotCon out of the Energon Scorponok. I've got this one. I won't give this one up because, he's bright and pink and he's pretty. Exel Hedge says, still weird fans project. Didn't release an upgrade kit for Constructicon Maximus. But otherwise, he's decent set. I love the universe colors. Oh, okay. Big D says, I do miss having Scorpy non-city scale. Would love to see this version get an update. Yeah, I'd like to see him get an update too. Then again, we could get a repaint of Double Punch, which would be neat. Yeah. Scorponok done and dusted. Megatron up next. There were, oddly enough, funnily enough, 2 versions of him. Because there was the Voyager class, which didn't look anything like, well, it looked mostly like him, but what weren't in the cartoon colors. He had the transformation of a deluxe toy. I mean, if you look at the core class figure of today, it's effectively the same transformation as it was back then, with only a little bit more, where the feet actually went inside of the legs. And the back swings round on this current one. Is there anything else that's different? There were springs in the fist, so you could actually saw the fists in the forearms, and the shoulders and these blue bits on the side of the chest compress inwards a little bit as well. But that's about it. He didn't do a lot of transforming for his price point. Again, his gun fusion cannon, which was a nod to his previous tank mode, had lights and sounds in it. So that's a price point right there, I suppose. But the tank could sell reasonably well on his back. You could lift the wing flaps up for some reason and it would spread the Energon wings out, which... Energon Megatron wasn't very good. I wish a legacy version could have been done where they actually gave him something to do. Excuse me, in terms of articulation or transformation. Or, something a little bit more interesting. Here. So there was also the Ultra Megatron, which was a store exclusive, or the version you could get in Japan, which was the cartoon colors. It's the versions you should have. I think this was smaller. It didn't do anything differently as far as I'm aware compared to the original version. It did the exact same stuff and it had the tank. Did the tank have the lights and sounds? I can't tell. Chat, if you had this version, did the tank have the lights and sounds? I don't know. I'm unsure, to be honest. You could also stick a translucent sword in it, and it's, fine, whatever. So you could wield it as a sword, which looked really awkward, or as a gun, which again looked really awkward. And he turned into, of course, Galvatron. This version specifically got turned into Shattered Glass Megatron. For better or for worse, it got the new head and the new color scheme and all that jazz. Blah, 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 blah. And the Ultra version got turned into the Galvatron. I'm sure Galvatron had a Japanese release where it was more cartoon looking, because again, this doesn't look exactly how it did in the show. It was slightly off again, and I'm pretty sure the Japanese had a more accurate version. Big D says, I dig how this figure looks, how this figure took a big amount of inspiration from the the G1 Galvatron design. Sure, with the head design. Yep. I was going to say, did Megs not come with a different sizes between the Hasbro and Takara? Yeah, I remember, it's not shown on this site, but the Takara version was smaller. It was the same size as Scorponok, as far as I'm aware. But I did not like this figure. I didn't like how it was too big for the amount of money it was. The articulation was fine on it, but I just didn't find it a desperately fun figure, to be honest. Next up, Optimus Prime. Fatimus Prime. He came with the trailer, his other combiney friend dudes. And you could... the nice thing about this, I suppose, was the hands and legs could be any. They could be hands or legs, depending on where you wanted to shove them. So there's a mild amount of playability to them, but not a lot. Fatimus Prime looked way fatter here than his deluxe version, but was still not desperately returned. And the trailer was okay representation of the trailer. They added a launch bay part to the bottom part, a radar dish to the top, a side panel. It's just not that good. And I think just generally the Optimus Prime Energon design is just a bad design. I don't think it's very good. Power Core Combiner. It's kind of Power Core Combiner, yeah. I wonder if this is where they got the inspiration from that. They got the inspiration from this. Whatever. There was also a Platinum Edition Year of the Snake in 2013. I assume it was shit-colored, but it doesn't say here. Yeah, I don't know what to say about this guy, apart from I didn't like him. Generally speaking, I think he has lights and sounds. So he has sounds, but he's, again, not a fun toy, generally speaking. One of the first toys I got from this line as well, which annoyed me a little bit. Fun fact, my first Optimus Prime toy post G1. Damn. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Big D. I mean, it wasn't enough to put you off, but this is... I remember being disappointed getting this back in the day, in 2004, 20 years ago. 20 years ago. I would have been 16 when I got this. Damn. And I was disappointed by it. So, Omega Supreme. In the Armada set, we had Unicron. Now we had Omega Supreme for our big boy. And this is a weird one, as he's a symmetrical docker. He splits in half and turns into two different trains. And does not do a lot of transforming. The first train, which is classed as it's just vehicle mode 1. The train with the construction arm does nothing. You flip the foot down and you turn it at the knee, and it's done. That's the transformation for that. It's really fucking basic. The next is why do you transform it like that? The next is a boat mode, which is mildly more involved. You fold the arms in and straighten it out a little bit, and have a few more fill-in pieces. This one actually looks like something. While the first one, which is the construction vehicle part, doesn't look like anything. It looks like a mess. Not that one. This is a boat. This is nothing. They also have battle platforms, which is generous, which is just you straighten out the legs. And you say that's a battle platform. I mean, that's kind, to be fair. Nice thing about the arm for the construction mode is it has a switch that you push forward and it extends. So he's got a extendy grabby hand. He's got multiple firing. He's got missiles that fire from his shoulders. He's got lights and sound in his boat forearm. He has little cranes that you can fiddle around with on his train knee. I suppose, and his headmaster, because this is a headmaster, believe it or not, with an individual robot mode, can combine with the boat mode awkwardly. But it can do that, just not very well. It just kind of slops in there, and you go, well, there we go. Just mush him into the boat, and there it goes. The battle platform modes have little handles as well that flip out, so you can pretend that there's something, but it's not great. They also have a combined vehicle mode where the boat takes up the duff from the train mode. It doesn't really work. Again, it doesn't look like anything. It looks like a boat's been rammed into the back by a weird train thing. But in robot mode, he's a very, very big... well, at the time, he was a very big, chunky figure with a lot of big, heavy ratchet joints, which were just fun to play around with. It's got an interesting asymmetrical design, but as a Transformer, Unicron was better, I think, and he had better gimmicks as well. Prime can combine with him, but then Prime has a teeny tiny baby head. Each of the legs has a port that flips out, and the construction arm has 2 ports that flip out, where you can plug in the vehicles from Super Prime's mode, which again look really, really awkward and don't look great. This mode is what we call a bit of a mess. It's a bit of a mess. There is a, how many redos of this are there? There's at least 3, because I have an extra one, which is the Lucky Draw version. I still have the chrome-plated version of this, which is limited, obviously. The other version was the Omega Sentinel, because of course it was, so it was more of a consistent color scheme, being blue and silver. I don't think Omega Supreme was great, but I shrug my shoulders and go, Big D says, fun fact, oh no, I read that one, stupid. Big D says, I have like 3 of him in various states of repair. Oh, I've used to try to repair and make one decent figure. Oh, damn. Nexel Hedge says, give as a Titan. But he does so little. He does so little. Do we really want this Omega Supreme? Really? Didn't they do a Year of the Dragon repaint for Omega Supreme? They might have. If they did, it's not listed here. Oh, no, they did. Yeah, you're quite right, Big D. 2013. So they did another version of him as well. Yeah, again, a big kind of shelf piece item. Not a big fan of it, pretty much. Andy, what is your deal with Lucky Draw? My deal is I was getting into Transformers, and I thought they were pretty fucking cool, so I bought them. There's not much else to it, to be honest, Simon Tang. It's pretty much it. I saw them, I was like, they're pretty neat. I wouldn't mind having one. Found a guy, bought them, and went there. There we go. I got them. It's not a very interesting story, I'm afraid. Last figure of the night. Woo, my voice is killing me. Wing Saber. Me and Big D kind of talked about this recently, or me and Orange. I can't remember. It's like last week. I'm dying. Help me. So, issue with the figure, he splits down the middle. He's 2 halves of a figure. He has a very wonky jet mode. That was big quotations, jet mode. It's almost a good design. It's almost a design I'd be like, ooh, that's almost good. But especially compared to Sky Blast that we talked about like 3 hours ago or whatever, this does not succeed as a jet. Doesn't really succeed as anything. As a robot, it's fine. They're very generous to say he has an attack mode by flipping the guns round on his knees. This guy is obviously as well very, very limited articulation-wise because he splits down the middle, and he has to be basically accessories for Optimus Prime. But these upgrades do make the Fat Prime look better, not considerably better, but does make him look better, I feel. They make him look more in proportion. But when you say, like, what is your purpose? To be shoes and arms, it's not great. When I say that, I'm thinking about combiners, and I'm like, well, that's their point as well. But I think they at least can stand on their own a little bit better than Star Saber here, or Wing Saber. I should say, did he get a repaint? I'd be surprised. No repaint. It would be weird if he did, in all fairness. I never had him. I just remember thinking I want him because I wanted my Prime to look not shit. And I think the robot design is good. The robot mode looks like something you get from the Brave series. That's cool. I just think as a toy, it's very, oddly enough, very 90s. You know, it's like a Power Rangers toy. It doesn't do a huge amount, which is a bit of a bummer. And that's it. Oh my God. I can drown my throat in, I was going to say something rude. Not something rude. I can drown my throat in acid now and make it feel better. Because, man, my throat is killing me. Thank you guys for coming on by. I hope you've had fun this week. We'll be back next week for hopefully news. There wasn't much news this week, obviously. So we left it out. I won't talk about what I've been up to this week. It's not been a huge amount. Exelhead says, Andy had too much for all those lucky draws. I mean, I was 16. I was 16 and had a job. So the money went towards them, you know. I didn't have to pay bills. I didn't have to have a phone. Basically, the money just went from my pocket straight to Hasbro or Takara in this case. So there was, this is not like a crazy thing. It's just every month I got like, how much was I getting per month? 500? Yeah, so it only took me like 2 months to buy one. So it wasn't that bad of a deal for me, really. I wouldn't recommend doing it for, well, unless you're one of the rare collectors. But yeah, if you want to come by next week, we should have some news to talk about, hopefully. I'm hoping and praying. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, YouTube as Decayed Andy, the rotten flesh of a human being with a rotten throat. Not 10 years, even though it has been 10 years since Armada. Energon, fuck. Been 10 years since Energon. There we go. We're on Twitter, Twitch, Discord, and YouTube. Just put in Moonbase 2 Transformers Podcast. You'll probably find us. You can join the people here on stream, YouTube or Twitch, which I mentioned, and you can join in the chat. We can have a good old fun time having a waffle about Transformers together. And you can give me your opinions on things as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, because that happens. Sometimes I am wrong. I accept these things. I think next week... This time next week, Transformers 1 will finally be out in the UK. So at the very least, maybe I'll be able to talk about a brief little summation of my thoughts on Transformers 1, and then maybe the week after we talk about a movie rundown. I don't know, we'll have to see how that goes. On Weebly.com, ccbunker.weebly.com as well. And I think that's everything. I'm going to go now. I've got stuff to tidy up and vacuum and hoover and do the dishes. And then I'm going to play some more Unicorn Overlord on the Switch. So thanks everybody for coming on by. I'm of course dead on the outside, dead on the inside, and until next time,
I'm gonna come!
Yeah.